Everyone to DigiMarCon and Texpo Live 2024 here in Phoenix, Arizona. I am here with a very special guest, Christian Helvin, who has a very strong engineering background, coding background, and he's working on some really exciting projects right now with Build Online. So I'd like to dive into a little bit about your history, how you got involved with the company you work with, and some of the exciting things you're getting into right now. So thank you so much for being on our podcast.
Jedediah, thank you so much as well. Texpo has been phenomenal so far, and it's a honor to be here. So yeah, it's been a fun opportunity. Starting out my career, I owned an agency for years and years and years, and one of the things that we found was as customers grew bigger, we needed to be able to scale up what we did for them more quickly. And it didn't always mean hiring internally, because it might be a fixed length project or a small little bit, but I wanted to make sure we had good quality. And so I struggled literally for a decade trying to find good developers all over the world. And really, we found location wasn't really the issue. It was more the quality of engineer, if I'm being honest. And so in the current company I work at and some companies that I consult with, we have found a great partner, and I've actually, I help them out on the side where we're really, just helping to partner other companies on this idea of nearshoring and finding some really great talent very close to you in the same time zones you're in, but also doing it in a way where we work the way you work and we're just part of your team. And so, yeah, excited to be here.
Awesome. And we were talking a little bit before we went live on the podcast about the way your company works. And I think it's very interesting that you work within existing structures, because some coders and programmers will, work in one session and then internally you're in a different code and the two aren't talking together and it becomes problematic. So can you talk a little bit about that and why you're offering these unique solutions to problems in that space?
Yeah, such a good question. I'll admit, when Build Online first started, it was an end-to-end. So they covered everything from design to thinking through what the product should be and just helping startup founders with their dreams and ideas. And unfortunately, many startups will have amazing big ideas, but many go under. And what we realized through that process is one of the biggest key assets we had was actually when certain startups scaled up, it was really being able to scale with them to where, we go from serving their very first customer to serving their 10,000th customer. And initially they might've had one developer and now they have like 20. We were that muscle that they could pull, that we were training those folks. Build Online was building up those folks and building it out. And so what we ended up doing a couple of years ago, we pivoted into that idea of, can we augment? And at the time, I was actually just a customer of theirs, where we were actually needing that ability to grow as well and not just hire internally. And what was neat is they were able to scale up with us. And so it was a very big difference where instead of Build Online being on the outside of our company, they were now on the inside. And instead of us just knowing them as a company, we knew each of their developers personally. We work with them every day now, and they're literally just working in all the same platforms we work in. And so it's been a big differentiator, and we're finding it's one that a lot of existing companies that just need to scale, but scale effectively, actually tend to pull.
So that's really great, because a lot of companies will have a specialized niche and then they don't think outside of that niche. And so you guys are very scalable in that way. You're able to think through all the different ends from, like you said, end to end of the processes, which is great, because a lot of people will do, that's just it. That's their one part. And then this other part, and even within large corporations, you see that sometimes where like the marketing department's not talking to the PR department. It's like, well, what's going on here? Why are they like talking in different languages?
It's so easy to throw it over the fence and say, oh, it's your problem now. And that's been the big difference with Build Online as well, is the fact that we're now finding, well, they're actually keyly pivotal in all of our areas of our business. And so they're literally just partnering with us versus, hey, we did this project, now go have fun with it. It's actually, we built this project, we're going to scale this project with you, and you internally also know this project well. And so you're not just relying on Build Online to do all of it. We have our internal engineers working alongside and keeping, I call it a business brain, and keeping that business brain internal to where, again, any outsourced company, whether we augment or outsource, it's still if you don't do it correctly or well, there's a risk to it. And the biggest risk that you find is if that company ends up not working out. Well, look, now if you've left all of your core logic to a company that exists outside of you, well, you don't have your business. And so Build Online has taken a different approach where once you've built up your team internally, we come alongside you just to help you scale that.
Now, a lot of, I've heard some talk too, I'm not sure if it was your business or other businesses with IP. Do you with the IP, do you let those companies keep their IP, or do you? Okay,
Yeah,
do you
yeah,
wanna
no,
get into that?
absolutely. It's so important. Again, kind of that business brain.
Mhm.
You know, when you're an end-to-end company, you kind of do have to control or keep some of that IP, especially so maybe other people don't resell what you've
Right.
offered to that customer. Because we're literally working in the same systems that a company is working in, you actually keep all the IP, and technically everything that we have coded for you is yours already because it's in your systems. And so we take a very different approach where yes, the IP is all yours. All the work the build online has put into it is yours as well.
That is really phenomenal. So that's something very unique to your company, and that's a huge blessing. And I also have worked just a little bit in the coding sphere, more in like Unreal Engine and doing game development, things like that.
That's awesome.
And so I've noticed that too, right? Because if you outsource to someone and they build the code, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, they want the rights now to everything, and then to reuse it and give it to all these other distributors. And it's like, wait, we paid for the code. So I think that's a really nice solution that you guys have on that.
No, it is definitely a differentiator for sure, and it's focused on just that long-term growth. Like we want to just be long-term partners with our customers we serve, and the first layer is trust. And when you move past that trust, bad things happen. We like to keep that trust intact.
Definitely. Fantastic. And another thing about that too is it means you guys have longevity, because some companies it's like a one and done, right? They did their job, they're done. If it doesn't work now and there's some back end thing, like, nope, sorry, we're not covering it anymore. But you guys are like still part of the process, which is great.
Yes, that's it. And let's cover the bad side of it. You know, every company I've ever worked with scales up, but there's also times it has to scale down. And the beauty of even bringing in augmented companies, I use the term authentic and ethical augmentation, because one of the pieces around it is, the most expensive, but also the most critical expense of any company are the folks that they hire, are the salaries. And in a very real way, as companies scale up, an outsourced company like Build Online is a great lever to pull to give you additional performance and additional ability. But if there's times where you have to scale that back down, there are levers you can pull that don't immediately result in internal layoffs or having to downscale what you're doing internally. And so that's one of the bigger, looking purely just from the customer side of it. And I am currently a customer of theirs as well. It's the ability to be able to know that we can pull that lever if we had to.
And that's always something great from the marketing perspective, right? For your clients as well, not just like B2B, but on the B2C end. So that's fantastic. I'd like to talk a little bit too on that note. You mentioned the folks and the people you work with. So can you talk about some of the good conversations and people you've met here at DigiMarCon Texpo?
Absolutely. Well, Jedediah, I must first start with this. The staff at this conference have been the most hospitable, the kindest people we've ever worked with. And I literally have been to several conferences before. Very impressed by that. And then more importantly, we have had several great conversations with folks. I've actually even lined up my calendar for this next week with several lead calls. And so excited to see some of the results we're getting from that so far. It's been one of those hot days here in Phoenix, but it's really nice. And it's a very warm atmosphere here.
Wow, that's a great note. So I guess on the ending note, do you have any suggestions for the audience out there that maybe has not been to one of these events before, and why they should definitely be in person to one of these networking and marketing events, and why they should stop by your booth too, in particular?
Totally. Well, obviously, Build Online would be the reason you come. I'm totally kidding when I say that. Now, what I've even learned from the number of speakers and the number of talks is in the marketing world specifically. I was in that world for about a decade. There is such a variety of content here. I've been very impressed. It covers everything from book publishing and how to market that out all the way to your digital branding. And there's even some other amazing vendors here that are focused purely on that and how you brand yourself well. I will say, I think it's also the networking. There's so much ability to connect with others in the space. And it's fascinating. I've learned this. I would expect this to be an event that's just purely local. No, there's people literally from all over the states that came to this one specifically in Phoenix. So it's an ability to network with people no matter where you live. And so it's been great.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being a part of our contest. Christian Helvin, am I saying that right?
Yes,
yes, absolutely. Definitely look him up. Look up the company. I think I love the ethics behind what you guys do, and it sounds like a brand that people can definitely get behind and support what you're doing. So thank you so much for being a part of this. We loved having you on the show. Thank you.
Yes. Well, I appreciate it. Little add-in, if I may, just check out buildonline.co, or you can connect with me on LinkedIn or Twitter. It's just Christian Helvin. And I appreciate the time today and excited for the rest of Texpo today and DigiMarCon.
Fantastic. All right, guys. Thank you very much. We're going to end our live stream now, but we'll be